Alrighty, welcome everyone. So excited for you to join us today. We're gonna start out unique and casual, but we are just talking about what we've gone through just for a little bit catharsis, knowing that times have changed as of March of last year and it affected every single one of us. So we're just gonna have kind of like a fireside chat about how that affected us, some of the realizations that we had. And then afterwards, I'm actually going to share a quick PowerPoint presentation. The basis actually is a course that I just created with some tips that helped me get out of some little bit of depression and languishing that I got into during this time period. And then I'm actually going to walk you guys through a deep breathing exercise at the end. Using those of you that have some essential oils, you can use some essential oils with it. If you don't, just some natural scent that you might be able to find fairly quickly. But we'll get to that when we get to that. So, oh, we got one more person. Oh, another guy. Okay, so I'm going to get started. And if anyone wants to chime in with their experience in the chat or anything like that, you can also do that too as we're chatting. So, my friend, we'll start with you. So, when COVID hit, first give us a brief introduction about yourself and what you do and how you help people before we jump into questions.
Is that directed at me, I'm assuming?
Yes, Jay. Yes, Jay.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm an entrepreneur, small business owner, generally dealing with marketing. Other than that, I work for a hospital. So I'm also in the medical field currently, looking forward to going to nursing school the beginning of the year. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. That's pretty much what I do. That's kind of takes up the majority of my time. Yeah. And what was the other question?
So now we'll hop into our subject for today. So when COVID hit, how did that affect you?
Um, COVID affected me in ways I didn't even realize that it did right away until later. For example, it was a long period of isolation, which I've always been an introverted person. So I didn't think that would really be a big deal to me. As long as I got my internet and food and uh, whatever else games, I'm usually good to go. I don't really have to be around a lot of people. So when COVID hit, it probably took several months, but definitely feelings of isolation, slight depression, maybe even some loneliness in there as well too.
So you said loneliness, depression. How long would you say that it took you to like recognize that?
Um, I would say a good 6 or 7 months into COVID is when I kind of started to realize that. Before that, I kind of felt weird at times, but I didn't really know exactly what it was, and definitely didn't have time to pay attention to it much with my schedule. So,
And like, how would you describe some of the emotions that you were going through?
um, I was unsure of how I felt a lot. I didn't know if I was feeling like I was having a good day. I didn't know if I was having a bad day sometimes. I was kind of just going through the everyday motions. Um, COVID definitely, I would say, made me want to have a drink more often than I usually did.
Yeah,
You
I so
know,
I started and I've mostly been on the 75-day challenge, which is
okay,
like zero drinking. So yeah, I recall definitely in the wintertime, like, pretty much
mm,
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's
right.
like, wait
You
a
always just
minute.
like I might as well have that extra shot or that extra
Wait a
couple of
minute.
shots today, even though it's not the weekend yet. But I might as well.
Thursday,
Yeah.
we start on Thursday. That's
On
Friday Eve.
Thursday, that's the new Friday.
It's like this is not really the 80-20 rule anymore when you start on Thursday. But yeah, I
Right.
feel you on that. So, would you say that you felt like you had anxiety at times or
Funny that you said that. I would say looking back now, I did, but at the time, I didn't realize it until beginning of this year when I started experiencing like anxiety attacks. So I didn't know what it was until
Mm-hmm.
I went to the doctor. So around March of this year, I was diagnosed with severe anxiety.
Oh, wow. So how did that manifest for you?
Um, back to the drinking. Um, I was always one to, grab me a bottle on the weekends, like a lot of people, done had a long week and everything. So that's actually how it manifests here. It was a series of 2 weekends in a row, where, the first weekend I had a few drinks or whatever the case was. And later that night, I just started feeling real claustrophobic in my room. I started worrying about things I shouldn't have been really worried about at the time, things that hadn't happened in my life, things that
Mm-hmm.
happened in the past. It was just a weird feeling that came over me,
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know what that was. It kind of subsided the next day, but then the same thing the following weekend, except this time it was a little more severe where it was the day after, Saturday morning. And I'm just sitting at the table talking to Mama Dukes, and I'm feeling shortness of breath, So at the
Mm-hmm.
time, I didn't know if I had COVID or what the case was, but I
Right.
couldn't move. I felt like, yeah.
Right. So, so you went to the doctor, you got your diagnosis, and now you have a plan for that.
Yes. Yeah. I have a
Good,
plan
good,
for.
good, good, good. So, did you experience any loss during this time? Like, did anyone a lot of funerals or anything?
Now, I didn't have what I would call a personal loss, any close friends or family, but I did have a loss in a sense. My mom lost one of her close cousins. I wasn't very close to him growing up. He was in his 60s or 70s. But, you know, I guess the fact it affected her so much, it kind of affected me, even without
Right.
maybe realizing it indirectly. Uh, yeah, and that happened around maybe I would say December of last year. Lost a cousin to COVID.
Got it. And then, so you said it took like 6 to 8 months to realize that you're a little bit off. The new term
Right.
that I found for this is like languishing. Maybe you weren't necessarily in depression or clinically diagnosed with anything yet, but like languishing, it's like that level right before depression. So, what did you
Mm.
do once you realized that, like 6 months in? What did you do to cope?
Other than regularly following up with my physician, I made sure I got out the house more, because prior to that, I was the type, I worked from home. I'm at home all day. I might not go outside for a week or two straight, as long as I had everything I needed in the house. So I made sure I started getting outside more, even if it was just to take a walk, check the weather. Um, I also started reaching out to friends and family, as far as phone calls and, different things like that, text messaging. So that's kind of what I did to cope a little bit there.
Nice. And then, what things would you say that we need to avoid?
Isolation, I would put that at the top of the list. Um, Isolation is very powerful. Even if you're not the type of person that feels like, you get lonely or anything like that, it's a very powerful thing being isolated from everybody mentally. So that would be at the top of my list. I would also say avoid. Um, I mean, I know a lot of us don't eat the way we should, but I would also avoid maybe eating the wrong way too often. Um, that can affect your mood and your health, physically and mentally. Just doing that. So I will put those at the top of my list. Getting exercise along with that, of course.
Nice. And then, so how did this affect you as a business owner?
Um, as far as business, there was negative and positive results. Um, I would start with the positive first. With my particular category in marketing, it helped out because a lot of people didn't want to leave home, of course, to go to the grocery store, to go to the convenience store, whatever the case is, even for just small essentials, toilet paper, soap, lotion, different things like that. So those were things I was able to kind of pre-market, and increase my sales on, actually, because it was all done online, through the internet. Negatively, I would say it affected my business because I wasn't able to meet with my business partners as often. Also, even, business associates, people that I was doing business with as well, selling to, buying from. So I wasn't able to meet with them. Definitely put a toll in the whole situation.
Got it. And so currently, what goals do you have, especially in particular when it comes to your mental health?
My goal, and this is a path I've been on quite a while now, but my goal is to try to stay as relaxed as possible, avoid high stressful situations. It's something we can't avoid entirely, but just try to avoid real stressful situations, or avoid putting ourselves in them, I should say. Um, Negativity, whether it's coming from other people, or things we watch on TV, things we hear on the radio. Um, I don't drink anymore. Um, I stopped that around March. I will have like some wine occasionally, but I stopped drinking liquor. I'm not necessarily pushing that for everybody, but
Right.
that's something I personally have had to, adapt to.
Right.
Uh, so yeah, definitely.
Awesome. Awesome. Anyone have any questions? Any amens? Anything you want to add? You can either come off mute or put
Hallelujah.
it in the chat. Like I said, yeah, it was like CBS on Wednesday. And I'm the same way. I don't bring any alcohol in my house right now. I mean, it's a social thing. And if I go out and I'm with somebody, that's fine. But I don't bring alcohol in my house anymore.
That's good. Yeah. There's a big amen right there. I seen that one.
Yep. Well, alrighty, guys. With that, I'm gonna take about 10 more minutes of your time and I'm gonna share. This is actually the outline for my course that I just launched. And so if you were to purchase the course, then obviously you'll get a lot more information because it's like, 3 hours worth of videos with all the details in it. But you'll still get some tips. And again, then we're gonna end with a nice like breathing exercise. One of the things I've been majorly focusing on is mindfulness and going with the flow and slowing myself down. So again, these, if you were to purchase the course that I have, then these are the slides that you would see in it, but each of them are going to have 5 to 10 minute videos with details in them. So we'll just do an overview in it, how to reduce everyday stress to be more productive at work, how to calm yourself after stressful situations so that you have better interactions with others, mindfulness for reducing overall long-time stress so that you live a longer life, and using the pause method to redirect your emotions in 2 minutes, 5 minutes for immediate change, and other tools for long-term neuroscience reprogramming. So, for those of you that have never met me before, I'm Tashina Gonzalez. I live in the state of Michigan, and I am a holistic wellness coach as well as self development coach certified. But I've also had my own struggles very recently and throughout this entire time. I, in contrast to Jay, am an extreme extrovert and gregarious, and people energize me. I love to be around people. People make me happy. And so when I, living at home by myself, was shut in, it was the worst form of torture ever for me. Ever. And I was shocked by how I went into depression, definitely. And then on top of that, I was quote unquote laid off, meaning I wasn't working for 8 weeks, but I was very well paid. Very thankful to God that I didn't lose my job or anything. But it took stuff off my plate, which left me alone with my thoughts. So that was very difficult for me. And so I had to start to find ways to calm myself, to deal with my emotions. And I already had some tools, but I needed new and more tools because this was something very different. Here in the state of Michigan, because we're the automotive industry and we have lots of travel to Europe and Asia back and forth, we were hit very hard. I was at a funeral in May and June every single weekend for like 12 weeks straight. Every single weekend. My sister's best friend father died. Somebody at my place of worship died. Somebody at the sister congregation died. I was at a funeral every weekend for 12 weeks straight. So obviously that affected me as well. And so I'm still sometimes, as recent as 9 weeks ago, I actually had a CPTSD breakdown, crying fit, because a bunch of a trigger. So I'm still managing my way through this, but I still just take the opportunity to make my mess my message, try to reevaluate where I went wrong and how can I use my tools better in the future. So the dangers of stress, for those of us that have experienced it, and I am one of the people who I carry stress in my physical body, and so a lot of the dangers of stress are that it will affect us physically. It's really important that we try to control it so that we aren't affected physically. There's physiological signs of stress like headaches, ulcers, and then there's also just lack of energy, like we can see in these pictures here. So, really, the top ways for us to reduce everyday stress, that according to a lot of research and why I'm always very interested in sharing some of these things with other people, are massage. If you can afford to get them, obviously, and if not, there's certain little machines that aren't too expensive that you can actually do self massages, different types of relaxation techniques, and making sure that you engage in regular exercise on a schedule. So that's something I do every single day. I make sure that I go for a walk for 30 to 45 minutes when the sun is high to get me some vitamin D, usually when I can, and incorporate strength training in the morning. So, tips for reducing work stress, especially now many of us are working from home. I'm in that bucket as well. Music. Find some relaxing music. If you're not on an actual call that requires concentration, I know I start with spiritual music and I play that the majority of the morning. I also have pick me up lists. And then in the evenings, I try to a lot of times I'll just go on YouTube and pick music for relaxation. Make sure that you're taking breaks. If you are in an office setting, get up once every hour. Smile more. We're actually getting to power posing a little bit, and that's actually a way to change your emotions through your actions. We already mentioned exercise, social support, which Jay mentioned, making sure that you continually reach out to people, and using aromatherapy. I'm at home here, so I can have my diffuser going. A great way to affect your mood and emotions as well. So in my course, there's a video on 11 steps to calm yourself when you're in a stressful situation. Again, that happened to me recently. Some reminders that I needed, but I don't have them written out here. So you got to buy the course to get those 11 steps. One of the other things that we just need to practice and remind ourselves on a regular basis is meditative techniques, making sure that we pause, we do deep breathing, other types of relaxation, other types of visualizations. And then meditating or just slowing our mind down, concentrating on specific things as well will reduce our stress levels. And then other mindfulness techniques that we can use: mindful movement, body scan meditation, mindful eating, and mindful breathing. So again, making sure we're aware of what we're eating, that it's healthy, and pausing and taking the time to eat. And then again, in my course, this will be a lot more detailed. There'll be a 5 to 10 minute video on it. But how to manage anxiety and panic attacks. The top 3 tips are to distract yourself when it is happening at first. We did a class on trauma writing and how one of the things that you can actually do is just take out your cell phone and actually get your in your notes section and just write for 90 seconds what you're feeling at that time. That's a good way to distract yourself. Feel the emotions and then they'll start to subside by doing something like breathe, deep breathing, and then reaching out for support, talking to someone. And then other ways to continue to just reduce stress in your life is learning to live in the now using the 80-20 rule. So, making sure that you focus 80% of your time on the 20% of things that are going to give you the best results. Using the law of attraction. So, one of the things that I definitely do is I start my day with positive affirmations. That sets my mind right in order to attract the behaviors that I'm supposed to do and the right things into my life. And then using the pause method. So in my coaching practice, this is a lot of things that I teach people and use on a regular basis. So the P is for power posing. So actually, let me go back to this. If you look at how my hands are in this first picture, that's actually a power pose. That actually is grounding. If you're sitting with someone or in a meeting, if you actually put your hands together like that, that's going to focus you and ground you. And then the second picture, hands on the hips, like with their arms out, kind of like Superwoman or Wonder Woman. That's actually one that's going to give you confidence. So there is a video by Amy Cuddy. It is a TED Talk, and she talks about power posing. One of the other tricks, you're feeling angry, you can actually put a pencil in your mouth. If you don't feel like smiling, you can put a pencil in your mouth or a pen and make yourself smile. And after 2 minutes, you will actually start to feel happy. So actually physically put your body in the way that you want to feel, and it will actually affect your emotions. It will actually affect your brain into the right emotions. And again, if you want the science and the proof of that, you can check out that TED Talk, as well as she has an entire book called Presence that I have read. So then ways to reduce your stress in 5 minutes or less, using alternative therapies. So I am a big proponent of using aroma, music, sound, and touch therapy in order to help reduce your emotions. And again, when I work with people one-on-one, that's a lot of the things that I teach them. And then I have 1,000 videos on YouTube, and I do these free classes 1 or 2 times a week. So I produce tons of free content for you to learn some of these techniques and how to do them and all of those things. The Feel Good Friday that I just did, every Friday on Facebook and Instagram, I do a Feel Good Friday. I did it on music therapy and the benefits of music therapy and why you should use it on a regular basis. And then use a coach or mentor for a check-in. So whatever level you need to be, some of us needed to get an actual therapist because we had a diagnosis, right? So if you have a diagnosis, then you definitely want to make sure that you work with a licensed therapist in order to, or a psychologist or a physician or whatever you need to make sure that you're working through those diagnoses. Some of us have business goals, or we just have self-development goals, or we just want to check in with someone on a regular basis with different stress relieving techniques. I actually co-run a Friday group with another person that we do touch therapy and we work on our emotions, a technique that's called havening. And I love it because I get the therapy by co-hosting it when I do that. And I also have a friend that does a very specific type of aromatherapy technique called Aroma Freedom Technique, and it reprograms your negative emotions. And I will have appointments with her at least twice a month. So sometimes you just need someone to guide you and redirect you when it comes to lowering your stress or meeting your goals or getting rid of blocks. So I am a coach, but I check in with at least 2 or 3 coaches on a regular basis for myself to make sure that I keep moving forward. And then as a coach, one of the things that I do and walk people through is strength finders. So strength finders, having people focus on their actual strengths, creating goals and things in their lives that fit into their unique strengths. And usually going through the process of creating this, what I call a power statement, takes about 3 sessions or 3 weeks to do that. And then this is just how to connect with me. So again, I'm on YouTube. I have over 1,000 videos on YouTube on all types of holistic wellness. And I do Feel Good Fridays. And I want people more than ever just to have this information. Last year, when all of this started to hit, I was working with an organization called Healthy Pontiac. And I was supposed to be the wellness person, the holistic wellness person. And before the world shut down, what I was supposed to do, I was supposed to go to like a park or a gym, and I was supposed to be on site and show you all the ways to be healthy. And then the world shut down. And I couldn't do that. And I had to start teaching about emotions and how to deal with grief and loss. So I have an entire series that we did with an organization that is about mental health, that's nonprofit, about dealing with grief and loss during this time. And it was a 6-week series that we did. So I have under my mental wellness section all types of things for mental and emotional wellness. And then again, just under the physical wellness side, I have things like natural ways to deal with prediabetes and just all those allergies, all that type of things too. Follow me, and my YouTube is just my name, Tashina Gonzalez. And then Instagram and Facebook, again, is where I do Feel Good Friday Lives every single Friday. That is where the YouTube content comes from. That's how I have 1,000 videos, because I've done Feel Good Fridays every Friday just about for 4 years. It's all collected on YouTube now. So if you want to see me do those, you can follow me on Instagram at SweetCanella5. If you'd like to find out about upcoming classes that we have, my Facebook site is vidaactiva.life. And then I also have lots of very specific resources. So if you just want to keep in touch and get text messages about that, or receive a video that's about 25 minutes long that's called Cultivating the Art of Self-Care, you can send me a text on my business line, which is 248-221-1545. And then if you're interested in purchasing any essential oils or any other supplements that I offer, my website is there where you can do that, vidaactiva.life as well. So that was what I wanted to share. And now, again, before we go, now that we talk about all the stuff we went through, I want us to be able to now calm ourselves down and do a little bit of deep breathing. So there is a quick technique called Aroma Reset Technique, and it actually calls for specific essential oils. If, like Jay, you can grab your samples. A good essential oil to use would be something that's very woodsy and relaxing and grounding. The recommended ones that we use are lavender, stress away, and frankincense. And if you don't, our sense of smell is just absolutely amazing. It's one of the best ways to affect our emotions. So just find a peppermint tea bag or a peppermint stick or a cinnamon stick, or if you can get outside and just grab some leaves and rub them together and get the oils on your hands, any of that will work with your sense of smell, as long as it's a natural, all natural scent. So with that, what we're going to do is we're going to identify a situation or emotion that we want to work on right now. So think of a current situation that feels overwhelming, frustrating, or confusing. And you want to make sure that you have a clear picture of that. So I'll give you guys just like 30 seconds to think about that. Just think of something, if there's something that happened at work today or something that's happened in the past couple weeks, just think about that situation. So then we're going to name the feeling. And I want you guys to find one word that describes how you feel when you picture the situation. So feelings, we got to get in touch with our feelings, which for me is not always easy. When I first started doing this, like with another person, I'd be like overwhelmed. She's like, overwhelmed is not a feeling. Overwhelmed is what covers up your feelings. So feelings are like sad, hopeless, lonely, fearful, fear, anger, shame, guilt, things of that nature. Those are feelings. So again, just think about that. And once you've named it, go to the next step. Now, locate this feeling in your body. So it could be anywhere. I, 9 times out of 10, feel it in my neck and my shoulders. That's where I usually feel it. But it can be anywhere. Your heart, your belly. It could be your bodily posture, like you just slumped over. Your teeth, your jaw, your teeth could feel clenched. Just locate wherever that is in your body.
Shoulders and chest for me.
Yeah. And then identify the negative thoughts. So we had this specific situation, we got the emotion, where we're feeling it. So maybe it was a negative interaction that you don't think you can get through, or I don't have enough time, I don't have enough money, I'm not smart enough, I don't see an end to this. Just whatever negative thought is associated with the situation that you're trying to deal with. Okay, now here's where we're going to do our deep breathing and bring in our essential oils or our other natural scents, whatever we're using. And you're going to do 1 drop of lavender for those that have it, 1 drop of frankincense, and 1 drop of stress away. And then you just kind of rub it in a circle. And then we're actually going to rub our hands back and forth for a little bit, which oddly enough is just starting with a little bit of touch therapy when we do that. And then we're going to inhale deeply and then exhale. And close your eyes, everyone that's doing that. We're going to continue to deep breathe into it. And when we're deep breathing, we want to feel it in our bellies. And our inhale should be through our nose and our exhale should be through our mouth. And it should be a heavy exhale, right? So you inhale and you should hear it, and you exhale and you should hear it. So it's like you want to hear your breath when it's coming out. So we're going to stay with this deep breathing. And the deep breathing is still good. If you couldn't grab some leaves or something, the deep breathing and the essential oils are hitting your limbic system, which is the seat of your emotions. And it is decreasing your cortisol levels, decreasing your adrenaline, and increasing your endorphins and your GABA, which are happy hormones. So just inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. And just keep doing that for a couple of minutes. And while you do that, focus on the situation. Close your eyes, focus on the situation, focus on the feeling, continue the deep breathing with whatever scent you have. Focus on the bodily sensation. So if it was in your neck, your chest, breathe into where that is in your body. Exhale out all the tension in that area of your body. Notice the negative thought and just keep the deep breathing, focusing on in your mind's eye, focusing on that situation, focusing on the feeling, the sensation, the negative thought. And just notice, and when you focus on that picture in your mind, with your eyes closed, how you feel. Notice what happens to the picture, if it changes at all, if it breaks apart, if it kind of dissolves. But keep breathing right into wherever you're feeling that tension, right through that picture in your mind's eye. And just end with 6 deep breaths. All right, that concludes that session. So again, that's just called the Aroma Reset. Something you can do several times a day. So I've been definitely making sure on my calendar at 8 o'clock, pop up, have you practice mindfulness at 1 o'clock and at 4 o'clock. So I make sure I try to do it 3 times during my day just to reset my mind. Deep breathing is just so important for us to pause and just bring all of our stress hormones down and increase our happy hormones. So alrighty, that is it for today, everyone. Anyone have any questions or anything else they would like to add?
Um, it's been a pleasure. This has been amazing. Definitely enjoyed it.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah, I got to
Right.
tell everybody. I got to tell everybody to make sure that they take advantage of your program.
Thank you,
Very
thank you,
helpful.
thank you, thank you. Robin, what would you like to share?
It was so refreshing to hear the two of your experiences, just because I started having panic attacks before the spring even hit with COVID.
Yeah,
And so it's interesting that we're all in the same struggle, so to speak, that we all
Mhm.
had to cross these bridges, but at different points. And
right,
so that was comforting to me, because then I guess, I mean, which I knew better than to think that it was unique, but it's not so unique.
right, exactly. Yeah, everyone has experienced trauma in a different form. This is something no one ever went through, and that's my most important message to people. I post a lot on social media, and I'm not doing it to be irritating. I'm not doing it to shed light on myself. I want people to know that they're not alone, and that please go get help if you need help. And if there's any way that I can help you, that's why I do lives on Friday. I'm going to try to help. When I find something that helps me, I'm just trying to share it to help other people. All right. Thank you for sharing, Robin. So, with that, I think I will close this out, and the replay will be available in the Facebook event for anyone that was on Facebook, and then I will message it out to the other people. Thank you guys. Have an
Thank
Thank you,
amazing
everyone. It's been a pleasure.
bye.
Thank you.